Okay, are you working? Okay, yay! All right, guys. All right. Okay. So, when I'm not playing as Jean Grey, my other name is Rachel Z, as you guys know on TikTok, right? But I was not actually known as Rachel for a while. It was only when I started school that I went by Rachel. My middle name is Sabrina, right? And so for the first part of my life, I was known as Sabrina. And so, what's in a name? A rose by any other name would smell as sweet. But how we call things, what we call things, that whole glossary of terms, there's, I think, in our world today, like that's where a lot of like confusion comes into play, right? Because someone is calling one thing a name and another person may have another name for it. Like in the Greek and Egyptian gods and Roman pantheon, they have equivalencies, right? So Aphrodite is also known as Venus, and those are equivalents, but not exactly the same, but they have the same meanings behind them, meaning like goddess of love and beauty. So it's something to consider when we look at even like comic book tropes and even comic book names. I like looking at namesakes, like other characters that share my name, just to see, because if you look at even numerology, your name comes with it a certain number. And it's not to say to get caught up in numbers and be like, oh, it's more about what the numbers symbolize in terms of like the numbers symbolizing a frequency. So your name comes with it its own unique frequency. So even how you intonate it, the syllables, all of that are encoded in a type of destiny. Like your parents, when they named you, you are like their dream of a future, right? They're seeing in you like, okay, I'm going to give you this name. So for you yourself, many astrologers, like many friends of mine, they have what they call your own spiritual name, a name you find for yourself. And I look at this like you can look at this in superhero situation, right? Like so picking a superhero name, and many superheroes pick names that are like animalistic in nature, right? You have a totem animal. So like if you even want to think about this like a spiritual journey perspective, you may see like Batman. He saw this big black bat flying at him in the darkness, and because he learned to embody that instead of being fearful of it, right? Being the storm instead of being afraid of the storm, you learn to harness your own power. And in doing that, you also maybe find another true name for yourself. And not to say that your original name that you're given isn't also you, but you are more multidimensional than that, right? Hey, Jonathan. Nice to see you. Okay, so Rachel Summers, if you are not familiar, she is Jean Grey, me, Jean Grey's, and Scott Summers, aka Cyclops' daughter from the future, and she's from Earth 811. Now, 811 is, I'm going to open up, I did some research ahead of this live stream, you guys, just so I could talk accurately about this, because I do think in many of these fantastical stories, right, we have nuggets of truth of them, like for us, right? And I think Prometheus says this really eloquently, where I'm a fiction, right? But at least I'm being honest about it. I'm a true fiction. So in fiction, in these fantastical fantasy works, in science fiction, there is truth. And it's a lot better, and I'm far more honest than something being like, well, this is a true thing. Yes, fantasy, yes. Or your own, like, dreams, anything that you are conceiving. Who taught you such words? Okay, let's see here. Where am I going with this? I wanted to pull up, because I was doing some research into the Marvel Multiverse, and I think on my other stream, I'm going to pull up the map that someone created on Reddit, and it's actually pretty sweet. Where'd it go? Fandom. I don't want fandom. I want my Reddit thing. Marvel Multiverse map. Because DC has one, but then someone went out of their way to make one for Marvel as well. And I wanted to speak specifically about it. let me share my screen on the other one, and I'll make myself small here. All right, bear with me, my friends. And free yourself from the chains of human intellect and become your true self. It's interesting that you say chains of human intellect. Have a good night, Ask Isaac. I think that we could use in our vocabulary more words to talk about things that are mystical and magical and stuff, right? And so when we say intellect or intelligence, or even things like, there's a whole thing where, oh my gosh, was it Rudolf Steiner who said this? I forget, where it's like this intertwining of intellect and beauty. So nature, as she grows, no one tells a flower how to grow. A flower knows to grow in what we know as like the Fibonacci sequence, but it's just a natural design. No one's telling each petal how to grow in the way that it's growing, so it grows in a beautiful way, right? So the intelligence of that design is one that's inherent, right? And something that in all life is inherent. So that's a little side tangent, because in becoming your true self, there is a level of like overthinking, right? You can overthink yourself and then suffer from inaction. And I think the issue is then when we take on other people's models of reality instead of looking inward for answers that, like you need to look inward for certain answers, not externally. That's basically it. Let's see here. So I'm going to share this. Where are you? To add this as a source, my multi-streaming magic. Okay. Oh gosh, you can hear Gotham in the background. Da-da-da. Beautiful. Here we are. Okay. So if you guys have been on my live stream long enough, you'll know that I've actually read you guys the history of the Marvel Universe, right? And in that story, we have Galactus, right? And Galactus is an interesting character. I'm not going to get into him too deeply right yet. But Galactus has this conversation with Franklin Richards, who is the son of Sue Storm and Mr. Fantastic. He's a very powerful mutant, and he's going to be the next Galactus. And so the power of Galactus basically tells Franklin Richards a story of the beginning to the end of the Marvel Universe, Multiverse. And so that, yes, so he eats worlds and universes. And he's actually in conflict with Phoenix as well in the storyline. But in this story, and that's the thing about all of these things, there's multi-stories and they can all kind of exist, right? So he is talking to Franklin about the whole history of the Marvel Universe, about the heroes, the falls, and like everything through all the different worlds as well, because the whole world is going to end, and from the tendrils of the old world, a new world will be born. Now, that aside, there are the way that Marvel does its multiverse is, I have a screen share here, but they do have it mapped out in terms of, oh my gosh, how do I make this bigger so I can like read the tiny words? Oh my goodness. Okay, well, there's spheres, right, of density if we think about it, and like Earth is very dense here, and then you have like an outer realm and an outer realm beyond that. And so here you have like overspace, the superflow, which is like the liminal space, the multiverse on top of it, a negative zone, exospace, and then an outer void. And then you have hyperspace underneath, the microverse, the underspace, and then the below place. And you have like these two polarities, right, where you have like the omniverse and like the below place where it's like the emptiness version. So the dichotomy of things and everything in between, that is the balance of all of those energies. And it's interesting because when it comes to the X-Men, they are like Homo superior, right? It's like an evolution of what Homo sapien is itself. And they do have concepts in X-Men of like what it means to have magic, right? Because we have Doctor Strange and the Sorcerer Supreme. And I read you guys a comic of Jean Grey where she goes to see Doctor Strange because she feels like she's being haunted, and she is being haunted by me, her older self, and it's because Jean's trying to avoid being merged with the Phoenix. But if we talk about time in these multiverses, right? Time is always happening. There is no beginning and there is no end. Things always are. And it's just about knowing where you are in the needle of the story, right? Like if we are all, hey, Squishy the Seal. Music's a beautiful way to talk about these different realms as well, right? Because let's say we're all notes in the grand symphony of life. In the album that's on it, it's just about where the needle is falling, right? And just because you're not in that part of the song at the moment doesn't mean you're not part of the song, right? Oh gosh, this is not a great way to talk about it. I'll write this out a little bit later more poetically. So Rachel Summers comes from this like future universe. I'm going to put this to the side and make myself a little bigger here so I can illustrate my point. So Rachel Summers is the daughter of Jean Scott Summers, Cyclops from the future. She's also Cable's sister as well. So she, I wanted to read Rachel Summers Marvel. I'm going to read it just directly from Marvel because I'm not going to misspeak, because if you guys catch what I'm saying and you understand it in your dream world, then you're just going to get it. So I'm going to read you guys a quote from Rachel. I am not my mother. I am not Phoenix. I am my own woman, and before I'm done, they will wish I were the Phoenix. So Rachel Summers is the daughter of the mutant heroes Cyclops and Jean Grey from a dystopian alternative future. Okay? And having inherited her mother's psychic abilities, she has high-level telepathic and telekinetic abilities. Thanks to the power of the cosmic entity known as the Phoenix, Rachel was brought to the past, where she was granted a second chance alongside the X-Men. Let me just get to the Days of Future Past timeline. Okay. So in Days of Future Past in the comic book, Franklin Richards and Rachel Summers are romantically involved. So that's interesting, I find. They're very close. As well as, let's see here, there's the Sentinels here and Kitty Pryde. I think that they did this in the movie where Kitty Pryde basically got Wolverine to travel through time. So when it comes to Rachel, she ends up teaching the ethics of time travel at the School of Gifted Youngsters for the X-Men, and she actually forges a really strong relationship with Psylocke. I didn't know this about Psylocke, but Psylocke has a very strong connection to Captain Britain and abilities on a psychic level as well. So I didn't know that much about Psylocke, so tomorrow I'm going to go into a deeper dive about her. But Rachel and Jean don't necessarily get along. It's like Jean, me, I don't necessarily see or recognize Rachel because she exists in a future timeline that's not very happy for me, right? Like Jean goes through a lot of sacrifice because of the intrinsic connection with the Phoenix, right? The Phoenix being an embodiment, a cosmic entity of all destruction and creation. And there are storylines where the Phoenix basically goes up against Galactus, right? Because Galactus deems the Phoenix a threat to its very existence, so it goes to like war against it and tries to basically extract the Phoenix out of Rachel. And that's a whole storyline I need to get when I work on my Rachel Summers cosplay. So I'm going to get into a little bit of this, which is Avengers versus X-Men. And it's also just because this storyline is an older storyline, and so it predates a lot of, how should I say it, like the Excalibur comics, as well as some of the more spicier details as it comes to when the X-Men figure out things like resurrection and like the Five and Krakoa and all that kind of stuff. So let me just start. We'll do a little something, something. I did already start this a little bit, so I'm going to just jump in here with Cap because I love Cap, and so. Okay, Cyclops. Cyclops in this has, like, I don't really know if I like his outfit too much. Looks kind of looks like a scuba diver. Kind of fits in with the fact that he's in the water right now. So, Cyclops, Cap, we need to take Hope into protective custody because the Phoenix Force is coming to Earth. And, okay, and all of our experts feel it is headed towards her. Your experts? Oh, you mean Wolverine. Is that so? Scott, he's not leaving without her. Well, it's not going to happen. Wolverine's also interesting, right? Because of his healing factor abilities, he's able to also traverse time in a different kind of way, right? Be a man out of time, just kind of like Cap, where you see time differently just because your lifespan is different as well. Oh, thanks, Tron, Katie. And also he's able to do certain trials because of his just resilience and toughness as well. You think anyone would have been able to withstand the trial of basically being welded to adamantium? No, not necessarily. Okay, so back to Cap talking to Cyclops. She's a mutant. This is a mutant problem. We will handle it. This isn't a mutant versus human problem. If she is the Phoenix vessel, we need to take care of this. One could argue that the Phoenix coming here in the right vessel is maybe mutant kind's last and best hope. Interesting, right? And hope is crucial to the whole resurrection protocol of when the X-Men figure that whole thing out. She's the one who provides like the synergistic psychic glue between all of the mutants that are responsible for doing that process. Okay. What? It's a force of rebirth, Cap, but maybe the rebirth of my people. You're too close to it, Summers. Logan told me you'd have issues with me coming here. I was hoping you and I could come to an understanding. Man to man. Leader to leader. I need you to trust me. I'm too close to it. You are too far away from it. As you always have been. It occurs to me, seeing you standing here, where were you for us? For the mutants. Except when you need something from us. Oh, this is where the tensions are flaring between the Avengers and the X-Men. Respecting you. You want to have this disgusting, you want to have this discussion? Fine. But you'll have to wait for another day. There is a destructive force heading towards Earth, and we have to figure out a way to stop it. Respectfully, get the hell off my island. What? The gauntlet has been thrown. He is going to force Rogers' hand. You do understand. I wasn't asking. I understood that completely, says Cyclops. Oh, okay. And there it is. Oh, that's a cool panel. So we have the laser vision, Cap, of course, that shield, right? Can block anything. And you have everyone reacting accordingly to that. And Cap gets pushed into the water and says, Avengers, assemble. And I guess that whole ship just appeared out in the sky. Oh, dear. Oh, here they are. Iron Man, Spider-Woman, Spider-Man. Is that Daredevil? Wow, you got the whole crew there. Emma, get Hope. Protect her at all costs. Oh, thank you. Scott, it's her decision. Not anymore. Oh no. Round 2. I love the art in this. I love the art in any of these ultimate crossover things, like X versus A versus X. So now Shield Heli Heli Carrier. I didn't realize how hard that would be to say. Mobile Super Fortress, base of operations for the Avengers. And Storm looks up saying, Scott, what have you done? What have I done? They came after us, Aurora. Just look at that. You think they didn't come here looking for a fight? These are the Avengers that we're talking about here. Let me talk to them. I think the time for talk has passed. You must choose your next action carefully, Scott. Are you sure this is the fight that we want? Ugly stepchildren, that's all we've ever been to them. As soon as we get a messiah of our own, they want to swoop in and take her away. That's how it starts. It ends with our extinction. Emily Jade Victoria. Oh, yes. Yes, it is. My different versions of self, which is why I think it's important for, like, you know, superheroes and your alter egos and such, right? Okay. Where are we here? Wow, Avengers versus X-Men. This is really happening. There are children inside that building. What in the world is Summers thinking? He's playing us. He wants us to look like the bullies here. Well, how come nobody told me that Cyclops was this damn crazy? I've been telling anybody who'd listen. We need to get down there. Now. Oh man, incoming. Magnetic fastball special. All hell. Officially broken loose. Boom, 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 boom. Here we go. He's gonna crash the helicarrier. I knew it. These things always crash. You should not have come here. Thoom. So you're the strongest one there is on Utopia, huh? Well, I'm the strongest one there is. Period. Eradicated muscle strain, organic metal groans, windows shatter miles away. The San Andreas fault shudders with each blow. Avengers, your actions here today are decidedly reckless and foolhardy. Colossus is so interesting. Yes! And I don't know if you guys know this, but Colossus and Kitty Pryde in some storylines are a couple. Hey, Mr. Top Ramen, by the way. Hope you're doing great. Okay, let's continue on. They're going to hash... So they crashed the helicarrier. I think that's Red Hulk, if I'm not mistaken, fighting Colossus. And he's like, oh, you think you're the strongest on Utopia? Well, I'll show you. And this coming from someone who has been called such things his entire life. Know that as I render you unconscious, I do so with a heavy heart, some of you at least. Hand that has touched the floor of the marina's trench meets a jaw made of living stone. They hear the punch all the way in Oakland. Point made. And countered. Heavy heart, huh? Wish I could say the same, Your Highness. The Lord of Atlantis versus a man from Harlem with indestructible skin. Either would sooner die than yield. Today both will bleed. Emma, maintain telepathic links. Is hope safe? You tell me, Scott, what the hell is happening? Something I always knew was inevitable, Storm. Take down those jets before... Whack. Indestructible shield meets mutant skull, the first of the day's concussions. Oh, yeah. Colossus does have a sister named Magic, and she can actually open portals and stuff as well. So when they go through time, she can, like, use her sword and, like, traverse time as well. Comes in handy, you know, having other travelers on the team. You always need a traveler. If that's you, let me know. Here we go. Oh, yes, this is a nice scene. I kind of like that. So Wolfie, it looks like Wolverine has sided with the Avengers here, right? Doesn't like Cyclops very much. And so we have Cap. Who else is here? Team A. I don't know who this is, if any of you guys do. This one right here. I don't know who that is. I'm going to show this other screen here. If you know who that is, let me know. It's a lot of people in the crew. Black Panther, Wolverine, Spider-Man. Take the beach. Drive them back into the sea. So you've got, like, the two leaders, right? It's kind of like Marvel. I was going to say Marvel versus Capcom, but, like, this would actually work in, like, a video game, I think. So Cap, he's like, take the beach. And Cyclops is like, drive them back into the sea. Giant Man, Ant-Man. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. I see it. I was like, I should have made it, maybe could have told from the antennas, but thank you for letting me know. Oh, thank you for the follow there, friend. Okay, let's continue on. I'm going to go for another 10 minutes, friends, because then I got to take a bath, transform, and then I'm going to be gaming with my hubs, so stay tuned for that. Or we'll see. The time is very crazy these days. Like, Solstice is coming up, and myself and Arya are going to be having a little special show for that, so stay tuned for how you can catch that. That'll be on Friday the 20th, before Solstice officially. Okay. Woo. I like this panel. Look, like they're running at each other on the beach. How come we don't get any of that live action? Give me that. Give me that story. So they're flying at each other, and holy crap, I don't believe it. We're fighting the Avengers. Damn, look at all of them. Is there anybody who's not an Avenger these days? Does this mean class is canceled? Does this mean we're under arrest? What the hell are they even doing here? No, let me go. This is all because of me. I should be out there. If it's any consolation, I'd feel the same way in your shoes, but I still can't let you go, Hope. Keep her here, no matter what she says. And all of you stay inside. This is Miss Emma Frost. I like her outfit in this and how she's drawn here actually as well. And Emma in this storyline, she's like headmistress at the school, right? And so she is trying to take care of all the students as well and make sure everybody is safe. Okay. Scott, the Avengers' telepathic defenses should take me all of 50 seconds to demolish. And that's if I pause in the middle for a nap. Pull back. I'm going to reach into their minds and end this. Rah! I bet you thought you were just going to end this. So, Emma, a little overconfident there, babes, walks out of the compound and someone says, oh, Iron Man. I didn't know if you guys know this, but Iron Man and Emma Frost at some point in time get married. They don't stay together, obviously, but yeah. So here's maybe this is where they first meet. We'll see. Microscopic telepathic tasers. You just breathed in roughly 17,000 of them. The harder you think, the more that they shock you. So sorry, Emma, my sweet. I do hope you'll let me make this up to you. Over dinner sometime, maybe? Oh, Tony Stark, you're so condescending as you do that. And then Emma punches him in the stomach. Not for all the caviar in the world, Tony dear. Organic diamond meets multi-billion-dollar armor. The most expensive punch in history. Then I'll settle for you telling your boyfriend to stop being such a dangerous lunatic. We're not here to arrest the girl or anyone else. We're here to help. Then learn the girl's name. It's Hope, and we don't remember asking for your help. Oh, right, that. Hi there. Oh, for the love of, what now? Man in a metal suit versus the mutant master of magnetism. If you think this is no contest, you've never met Tony Stark. Elsewhere, live footage now from a traffic copter in San Francisco where there appears to be an epic battle taking place. We should be there right now. This is our fight. We have to go. I am going. Please, come with me. I don't know who's talking now, but we'll see. Oh, okay. What is it? 347 miles and 3.5 seconds later, family reunion at Mach 5. Hello, father. Up to your old tricks, I see. Oh, is that Quicksilver? Oh, yes. Yeah, so Magneto was trying to attack Tony Stark. I guess Quicksilver considers himself an Avenger, so he's like running to the rescue and smacks Magneto in the face. Pietro, once a foolish boy, always a foolish boy. At least tell me you haven't dragged your sister into this. And now it appears that the Avenger Quicksilver, son of Magneto, has joined the fight. This is getting uglier by the minute. We can only speculate as to the cause of this terrible click. It looks like Scarlet Witch was watching. And then, like, in the middle of it, she's like, I don't even care. I'm not gonna watch this reality show anymore. Switching the channels. Even in a war where hero battles hero, some fights prove to be more personal than others. Oh my God. Never thought I'd see the day when Wolverine would stand against his own damn people. Ooh. Maybe if y'all used your heads. Let's hear. If you all pulled your heads at a Cyclops' ass once in a while. This is from Wolverine, by the way. You'd see what I'm doing is trying to save the goddamn world. Where is Hope? The fiercest X-Man who has ever lived versus an island of people he once called family. Yet another dark day for a man who has known far too many. Thunder rumbles without a cloud in the sky. Guts tighten in the belly of the king of Wakanda. You should have told me that this was happening. You should have told me you were harboring a 16-year-old girl with the power to blow up planets. T'Challa, we have to end this. There's only one way to end this, my love. His wife is still worshipped as a god all along the Serengeti. You stubborn, pig-headed man, this is exactly why we have a marriage counselor. Marital discord with hail and lightning and hurricane force winds. So Black Panther and Storm are married and they're on opposite sides, right? So Aurora is obviously, like, she's X-Men to the core, right? And Black Panther, and like they're having this like marital dispute. She's like, this is why we have a marriage counselor, and as like fire and wind is all around there. They're married and have kids. Yeah, yes. I don't know why it censored your comment. Demon Stop Out. Yes, I appreciate the extra intel. Yes. She looks great here though, Storm. I love this outfit of hers, right? Am I right? And she has like the crown. She looks great. You look great, Storm. And there is a storyline with Jean and Emma where they actually work together, and it's to save Storm because, like, you gotta love Storm. I have to get out of here. Or I have to get out there, says Hope. I have to stop this. Sorry, Hope. You heard Mrs. Frost. Those are the Avengers out there. Best to let the big guns handle this one. You're right, Lori. Sorry about your nose, by the way. Say what? And then she elbows him in the face. 4th nose broken in the last 8 minutes. Don't you get it? The Avengers are going to war with the X-Men, all because of me. That tells me one thing. I must be the biggest damn gun there is. Oh yes, you are, Miss Hope Summers. You sure are. I've known you a long time, Scott. I've never seen you to be this foolish before. And I've never known Captain America to fight on the side of fascism. You chose this fight, kid, not me. Right, you just showed up on my doorstep with a floating aircraft carrier and 24 Avengers. I wouldn't be here if the situation wasn't grave. You should be able to put your pride aside long enough to see that. Mutant or not, we're all in danger here. This is the Phoenix that we're talking about. Think about Jean. Remember what that thing did to her. Ooh, you're bringing up Jean to Scott. Dun, dun, dun. Whatever happened to Jean? Hey, Will Raza. Yes, story time. And I'm reading a segment of X-Men versus Avengers. Avengers versus X-Men. Oh, yes. I don't remember if Hope Summers turns into Phoenix. I read it a long time ago, too. And this is a throwback to comic books that I first started reading when I was a teenager. So, as I think I asked you guys at the beginning, but please do drop if you guys have comic books that you first read, when you were a teen, if you can remember the first comic book stories or first superhero stories that you were ever exposed to. I saw Spider-Man, as well as, oh my gosh, more. Yes, this is live, Crazy Tom. Hello. Okay, let's continue, friends. I'm only going to go for a little longer because, as I said, we're going to do some other stuff today. But I will bring this reading, or rather this analysis of Avengers versus X-Men is going to be part of my membership of subscription-only Cosmic Comic Book Club coming up this week because we have a full moon coming up. So good time to do some cosmic storytelling and analysis, my friends, and figure some stuff out on a reality sale. That was a big deal. Let's see here. It was, yeah. And it's I was actually playing an X-Men side scroller video game earlier today, and I realized it's funny that Psylocke is used a lot as a character in the video games. And it was primarily Sega Genesis as well. So I'm going to try playing as Psylocke in it. Do you know what Brawl Stars? I don't know those books. Yes. Okay, let's continue because I'm only going to go for a little bit longer, friends. And I'm all getting invested in this because it's been, as I said, a long time since I've read this as well. Okay. Right, you just showed up on my doorstep with a floating aircraft carrier and 24 Avengers. I wouldn't be here if the situation weren't grave. You should be able to put your pride aside long enough to see that. Mutant or not, we're all in danger here. This is the Phoenix we're talking about, Scott. Think about Jean. Remember what that thing did to her? I don't need you or anyone else to remind me of my dead wife, or of the power of the Phoenix, which you apparently know even less about than you do about me and my people. If you really wanted to talk this out, you would have come to me first. Gah! Instead of consulting with the lunatic Fringe. Whoa, pretty strong words there, my friends. What you're doing here today is endangering the whole world, your people included. That's all I need to know. End this before someone gets hurt. Too late for that. Thwack. From a distance, it all sounds like a roar. The bones grinding, knuckles cracking, fists churning by the sea, bloody waves pounding the shore, the howls and curses and battle cries, the bonds forever broken, the final fruitless pleas for peace. I never wanted this, Scott, and neither should you. Tell your people to stand down. Think of hope. Don't make us take her by force. Cyclops, when he gets mad, it's funny. Oh my gosh. Boy Scout, he can't help himself. Do I know what Fortnite is? I know what Fortnite is, but I don't play Fortnite, guys. I'm too old for Fortnite. Civil War was my first comic book story that I read in comic book form. So, and then X-Men versus Avengers was also there as well. And I also, as I said, love X-Men comic books. But like older stuff. There's a lot having to do with like Phoenix that I am sourcing, as well as Excalibur that I'm getting, because, fun fact, Rachel Summers founded Excalibur. My real name is Rachel, and there's some fun interminglings there with like Captain Britain and Psylocke and all that kind of fun stuff. This is A versus X, Avengers versus X-Men. You can see here, like, they want peace, they don't want peace. So basically, it seems like the whole source of the conflict here is the Phoenix is coming back, right? And the Phoenix is likely going to embody Hope Summers. Now, Hope Summers is also key to the whole resurrection protocol for the X-Men. Mine, Marvel, was Maximum Carnage and DC Death of Superman. Wow, that's for a first storyline too. That's intense. I got into DC later. DC still is, I think, like a darker, like they do deal with like much more psychological, and I think like the villains in DC can be a lot more diabolical, let's say. Oh my gosh, I just watched first part of new animated Watchmen movies. Oh my gosh, so good, right? Well, whereas I watched it's so good, and they literally, like, the best lines in Watchmen are pulled exactly, and the voice actors are phenomenal. And I love how they did Night Owl and Rorschach's relationship, right? As well as like, and Silk's amazing in it as well. I love her in the show. So yeah, and I'm gonna do a little bit something coming up about the connection between Silk Scepter and Black Canary, because there's like that whole mother-daughter mantle relationship when it comes to being a superhero as well. And yeah, part 2 is so good. I will interrupt this special moment for a little bit, because there's a part in part 2, and this won't be a spoiler because Watchmen follows all the beats of the comic book exactly, but there's a point in time where Dr. Manhattan pulls Laurie and they go to Mars, right? And he says to her, like, this is where we are going to have our conversation where you beg, we discuss like the future of humanity, and we're gonna have our discussion or debate. She's like, what? So they go to Mars, they start having this conversation, and she's like, how do you know that? And he's like, oh, like, time is always happening, all this kind of stuff. And they keep talking, right? And then she's like, oh, and he's so gentle, and that's why I've been sleeping with like Night Owl Dan, right? And then Dr. Manhattan looks at her and he's like, you've been sleeping with Dan? She's like, how can you be surprised by anything if you already know what's going to happen? And there's a tell to that, you guys, right? Because it's like, okay, like, if everything's predestined and everything's already happened, how do we have surprises or novelty? Well, because time is like a branching tree, and every time you come to certain points, there's like a multitude of possibility, right? And so all of those possibilities are always happening everywhere at the same place, right? Non-linear, yes. And it's cool when you read Dr. Manhattan comic books, because some of the panels will be like upside down, right? And you'll have like one time stream being this side and one time stream being this side at the same time. So there's a way in comic books to show the way that the time stream kind of would feel like or be experienced by Dr. Manhattan and thus us in that archetype, right? Okay, let's continue for like 2 more seconds, 2 more panels, and then I'll close this for now. We'll be back. So I've got Psylocke to do tomorrow. Where are we? Okay. Ooh. Fire. Is this magic? Oh, we'll see here. Okay. Magic. Back door. Understood. Steven. I have her. So they have magic versus Doctor Strange. Suddenly, sulfur and bile and putrid rotting meat. You're a talented girl, Iana, but did you really think you could sneak your friends out through limbo without my noticing? So the back door, right? I told you guys magic. She can open portals too with her cool sword. So she was trying to take our, like, you know, the back door, like the go around the back, escape through the back kind of situation. Hey, Spider Carnage. Speaking of Spidey, he's in here as well, fighting on the Avengers side, of course. Where are we? So Iana magic, she's like, good. I'm hoping you would follow me here, Doctor Strange. I was hoping you would notice, Doctor Strange, the smell of burning souls. I just wasn't sure you were actually dumb enough to come here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's like, yeah, I thought you were going to come here, and now I'm going to F you up. I can relate to him. Yeah. You know what? I do have a Mary Jane cosplay coming up, though, too. MJ is, I love her. She's, like, the best girlfriend. Okay. Magic, back door. Oh, I already did that. So after the back door situation, I think I'm going to leave it there for now. Oh. No. We'll go a couple more and then we'll finish it. No, I can't because there's too much happening here. But I will tease you into what will happen next. So we have Hope Summers. This is Wolverine. The art in this whole story is actually quite gorgeous. So we will come back to this tomorrow. I'm going to have my Psylocke cosplay ready for that, as well as we're going to do some background into Captain Britain and that whole thing around Marvel, because I love Arthurian legends, and so how Marvel deals with Merlin and magic and Doctor Strange and Psylocke, as well as Rachel Summers and the rest of the X family, is really cool. There's like something to it. So hopefully I'll have something a little bit more interactive. So join me tomorrow. I don't know when in time I will be, but I'm also doing an interview with Decriminalized Nature tomorrow at around 3 p.m. Eastern time, and we're going to be talking about cosmic comic books as storytelling and our new mythology, and a way for us to tell stories about reality and the reemergence of what it means to be a much more magical creature in this current reality. So I love Excalibur. Yes. So I'm going to get some Excalibur comic books, as well as there's like the Phoenix, right? The whole concept of the Phoenix as a cosmic entity. The Phoenix, when the Phoenix goes to battle against Galactus. So what does it mean when you have these different worlds as well? And even like in Marvel, like it's not clear to me how these different worlds intertwine with each other, right? Because Rachel goes back into Earth, like goes to Earth 616, which is kind of like the core Earth in Marvel, but she's from Earth 811. And there's all these other like Earths as well, but it's not clear like how they all kind of like connect to each other or intertwine, or are there rules about like, can you go travel through the future in one and does it impact another? Like if you watch the there's a new anime based on the Terminator universe. I think it's called Terminator Zero, but it's pretty good. That one's really good as well. I recommend that. And it's cool because it's in that universe, and the way they talk about time travel is the way I kind of conceive of it as well, where like if you were to go back in time to a certain anchor point in it, you're going to create a new branch. You can't necessarily go back into my own timeline and like, you know, like in Looper, where like the guy's like nose is falling off and stuff because in the past they're doing all this horrible stuff to him. So it's not I don't think it's necessarily like that unless you do something specific or you're traveling very specific in the same time stream. But I feel like that all needs to be mapped out. I don't have the answers right now, but time is not linear, right? We just perceive it as that, and different comic books and storylines are all fun ways for us to kind of have these updated models and much more granular, more expansive models of what it means to be in time, right? Time Cop is much better than Looper. I agree, Wolveraza. Oh my gosh. Time Cop just because of Jean-Claude though, right? That's so good. And also like things to come up to are like the esoteric movie review. So certain movies that have intel in them, because like I did English literature in university, so it's just like taking all this art, right, and looking at the story in it, and then looking at it from a perspective on like, okay, in my own life, in my own story, how can I inform that with these more magical models and infuse more of that into my own life, and then really start to express that. So that's all fun stuff to come. Hey, Voice of One, nice to see you. I was just talking about like Rachel Summers and how she founded Excalibur, and like the connection between her and Psylocke, and like they're lovers in some, and she's lovers with Franklin Richards as well. And I'm just like, oh, so that's maybe why I love Psylocke so much. But hey, I have that cosplay coming tomorrow, and some deep diving into that, as well as we're going to continue on the read of Avengers versus X-Men, and then I'm going to let you guys in on some more info about the Cosmic Comic Book Club and some of the live streams coming up that are going to be for subscribers / members only. So thanks you guys for joining me for this like impromptu comic book session, you guys, and thanks all of you who joined me and Wolverine last night in our live DJ set. I'm so happy that hubby's cosplaying as Wolverine, because Wolverine has a lot of, because he's got that healing factor, right? When we talk about like travelers or like people who are traversing timelines, because of an extended lifespan, you can then traverse timelines too. And so Wolverine also has some fun storylines that deal with like what with cosmic entities as well, because of his resilience and ability to go through certain tests, right? From a physical level, that his consciousness is able to like be expanded in a way I don't think people realize as well. Okay, friends, Franklin Richards is secret. Oh yes, yeah, Franklin Richards is very powerful, and you know, like even this concept of like, oh, I'm gonna create this pocket universe over here for my friends and me, and just as like the whole other world ends, and like us to kind of think of that in the psychic world, what that would mean to create that kind of stuff. Oh yeah, I'm gonna actually maybe start that later tonight, you guys. I'm gonna jump off this actually. Hey James, just James, nice to see you. So I'm gonna jump off, guys. I'll be on maybe a little bit later, we'll see. But it's midnight now, so I need to drop off. So thanks for joining me as this read for Jean Grey. I will catch all of you guys for sure tomorrow at some point in time. But until then, remember for you guys to continue being you, right? Because if there's anything that shows me in like a lot of these big crossover comic books, is that look at how many superheroes there are. Look at them. And so in you, in all of us, there is an expression of what that, like the universe discovering itself, right? So in you is like a power that is so unique to you for you to discover and embody in this lifetime. So I wish you all good fortune in uncovering all of that. Yes, a huge, massive revolution, and it comes internally first. So I am your biggest fan when it comes to that, my friends. So I wish you good fortune in uncovering all of that, your soul mission, who you are, because the universe is counting on, yes, you. But no worries, I got your back. Okay, my friends, until next time, stay super and magical.